when their own party kicks off with two big speeches appealing to two key voting blocs. San Antonio Mayor Julian Castro and First Lady Michelle Obama. No secret that the Obama campaign is trying to win over Hispanics and women. Now, they do have a big lead with both, but will need to hold or build on it for November. And before either speaker takes the stage, the president will be campaigning in Norfolk, Virginia today, a state that just happens to be 54% women. Let me bring in roll call politics reporter Shira Toeplitz, and Perry Bacon is the political editor of thegrio.com. Welcome to both of you. So Michelle Obama, I think her job is maybe uniquely complicated, Shira. She's very well liked, viewed favorably by almost 7 in 10 Americans, but he's well liked too. Can you love someone and I don't know, still not want to live with them? Can you think Barack Obama is a great guy, but maybe he hasn't shown you yet that he can solve the country's problems? What is Michelle Obama's job tonight?
Michelle Obama's job tonight is simply to humanize her husband and to really build on that already high likability score for him. First Lady actually has an approval or likability rating about 9 points higher than her husband, so it's going to be an even easier sell for her than it is for her husband to sell himself later in the week. Her job, hands down, is to just make him seem like a family man, reinforce that image of the first family. But doesn't he already have that reputation?
I mean, as you said, people love her. They definitely like him in comparison to Barack Obama, Perry. What do you think? I mean, Mark Halperin says that she's actually going to have a couple of themes here. Middle class and military families. She's going to talk not just about the president's life, that he was raised by a single mom with a grandmother who got up early, went to her job at a bank, but that he's the person who understands what working class Americans need. Is that what she should be doing?
That's what she should be doing. All our polling shows that people think the economy is not actually doing that well, and they're worried about the president's leadership of the economy. What they like about him is they view him as caring, and they view him as caring about and understanding their problems much more than Mitt Romney. So even people who don't like the economy and say he can't fix it want to vote for the president anyway. Michelle Obama's job is to reinforce that, remind them that he does care about the middle class, and sort of emphasize what he's done already and emphasize his empathy. His empathy is a big thing for him, and she's going to really reinforce that tonight. I think you'll hear a lot about that tonight.
You're also going to see the president of Planned Parenthood tonight, the president of NARAL, Sandra Fluke, all addressing the crowd. Politico has this piece that talks about how they're not going to talk about abortion per se, but they're going to try to reframe the debate, talk about women's health, being able to get a mammogram, get cancer screenings, contraception. Shira, is that an issue that will resonate far more broadly than abortion?
Yeah, I think so. I think issues like birth control, which is what we've seen a lot of the debates centered over women's rights and women's issues about in Congress this year. I think birth control is going to be something they bring up. And yeah, it's not every American obviously is pro-choice or pro-life or somewhere in the middle, but birth control is an issue that is a concern to a lot of women. It's a much more widespread issue.
And Madeleine Albright on Morning Joe today said this, very interesting.
Do you agree with Mitt Romney's prescription that Russia is the most dangerous threat to the United States?
Well, if you live in the 20th century, you might believe that, but the bottom line is we're living in the 21st century.
The whole idea there, Perry, is that, this is a guy who's out of touch. Barack Obama's in touch. Mitt Romney is out of touch. And she even told the Huffington Post, I can't understand why any woman would want to vote for Mitt Romney except maybe Mrs. Romney. Is this a theme we're going to be hearing, that sort of he doesn't really get it?
Absolutely. I mean, you know that women are such a big swing group in this election. You can tell that because Mitt Romney's speech last week, he named essentially every woman who's ever been close to. He talked about his wife. He talked about his chief of staff. He talked about his lieutenant governor. He talked about Condi Rice and how he's gotten to know her better. You can tell he knows he has a 10-point deficit with women, and Romney's really aggressively trying to close that. And the president's job tonight and the job of the DNC speakers is to really make sure to remind people about the Republicans' views on issues, not just just in terms of abortion or women's rights, but also women tend to be more liberal on issues like education, on taxes, and et cetera, et cetera. And I think you'll hear Michelle Obama speak on those issues as well. It's not just a women's issue thing. It's in general, women are such a big block. White women are probably the biggest swing group in the election, and that's who this convention is really targeting.
Suburban white women. Perry, Shira, stay with me. I want to bring in Van Jones, the president of Rebuild the Dream and a former White House special advisor in the Obama administration. Good to see you, Van. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I want to play a clip from the president yesterday. He was in Toledo, Ohio.
And they know that even if you don't buy into their plan, even if you don't vote for them, they're thinking, well, maybe we'll discourage people. We'll get folks so disillusioned by all these negative ads, all this negativity, that you'll just decide to sit this one out.
But he also went on to sort of suggest it's not just the negative ads. He understands that, you know, people still have some lingering concerns. Are you concerned about enthusiasm? A lot has been written about how different this is than 2008. And is there a chance to sort of recapture that, do you think, over these next several days?
Well, it's definitely a different election, but you know, the last time it was a big hope election. This time it feels more like a fear election. You know, both sides afraid of what the other side will do. But I think what's going to happen is, and you're seeing it happening already, people are starting to rally back to the president. But I think what they realize is here's a president that at least tried. The Republican Party says, look at all the failures of Barack Obama. You know what they sound like? They sound like Lucy, who's holding the ball, and every time Charlie Brown tries to kick it, they move the ball and say, look, he can't kick. They have responsibilities too. This is not a dictatorship. It's the democracy with two parties. They stood back for 4 years, and while Obama is trying to rescue the country, they're just watching the bodies pile up on the beach, hoping that America will fire the lifeguard. That is the problem with the Republicans, and I think that people are beginning to remember, hey, wait, this guy's on our side. He's trying to cut his taxes. I mean, he's trying to cut his own taxes. Romney's trying to cut his own taxes. Obama's trying to cut our taxes. So I think what you're going to see as we get closer to this thing, people are going to remember why they like Obama. They're going to remember that he was sabotaged, and they're going to give him a second chance.
You know, I'm thinking about what Caroline Kennedy told the New York Times. They may not be as exhilarated as they were the last time, she said, but I think they are just as committed.
Yeah, I think that's well said.
How do you know, to be committed, does that mean that you're going to knock on doors? Does that mean you're going to go to phone banks? Does that mean you're going to talk to your neighbors? Do you need to have that sense of exhilaration, I guess, is what I'm really asking.
Listen, everybody knows you're going to see less of that this year than before, partly because the last time he was a young outsider coming in. This time he's a president. He's been there for a while. You'll see less of it. But is it also a level of disappointment? Do you sense a level of disappointment? Of course. Listen, people are hurting. You got people sitting on a white-hot stove economically, and they want to holler. You saw them hollering to the Tea Party. They hollered with Occupy Wall Street. The pain is there, but when you get down to it, who do you believe is actually going to do something to resolve the pain, and who has actually been trying to make the pain worse so they can gain politically? And I think that what you're going to see is, as people begin to look at these options,